Welcome back to the pod. I'm Vin.
I'm Sarah.
This is the Career Collective podcast where we talk about corporate America, building businesses and life in our 20s. And today's episode, we're talking about networking.
Networking.
Episode sponsored by LinkedIn, our first ever sponsor,
Love it.
where you can build your network to help you grow your career, but we will chat about that later.
Yeah, can't wait.
So we just got back from Cannes Lions, which we just did a whole recap episode on. TLDR, major marketing conference out in the south of France. But there's a lot of executives and other creators there. So one of the big things that we had to do was network in person.
Yep.
Is networking something that comes natural to you, or how do you deal with networking?
Yeah, I think it's something that you grow into, to be quite honest with you. Networking can seem really intimidating for a lot of people, especially recent grads coming out of school. It's everyone telling you, just talk to everyone, go to events. And that's really hard to just let that sink in and be okay, I'm going to be successful going to these, because not only do you have to go to them, but then you have to put yourself out there. And I think putting yourself out there is the hardest part. And you definitely have to grow into that, grow into that confidence that you need to be successful at an actual event. What would you say?
Earlier on, I was less confident about networking. Honestly, I do feel now I don't feel...
You're good at it.
I don't think I'm good at it. I just don't think I put a lot of pressure on myself to get something out of it. And so I'm not very stressed when it comes to networking. Unless it's someone maybe I really, really admire, maybe I'll get a little nervous for, but I don't know, for the most part, I feel pretty good about it. I think, I have some tips for networking in person that helped me out, because I think growing up, I was not the most confident or outgoing, but I think I've gotten into a good spot. I've read this book called How to Talk to Anyone. I don't know if you heard of it.
No, but I need to read that.
It's really good. It's supposed to be a follow-up of How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's a different author, but she was inspired by that book and wrote a follow-up to it.
Okay, cool.
There's 3 things that stood out to me. One was to never have a naked introduction. That's what she says.
Okay.
So, for example, it might be something like this. If I'm meeting you, I might say hey, where are you from?
Long Island.
And then?
And then...
Okay, so let me break that down.
I'm where are you going with this?
I put you on the spot, but here's what they mean by naked introduction.
Okay.
You basically want to give the person you're speaking to something to go deeper in the conversation on.
Okay.
So you kind of want to give them a layup.
Okay.
Right? So you might say, ask me where I'm from now.
Where are you from?
Well, originally I'm from New York, but I actually love surfing, so I moved to New Jersey about 3 years ago. So now you have 3 talking points that you can go deeper on.
Surfing,
right?
moving, and Jersey.
Exactly that. So that's one of the things that helps a lot when you make an introduction to someone. You should avoid trying to give just one-word answers. Or oh, what do you do for work? You can say something like, oh, well, I spent my last 6 years or whatever working in recruiting, and now I actually run my own business because I create content. And so now someone can go through recruiting, content, or your own business.
Yeah, wow, that's such an easy tip that you don't think about.
That's an easy tip.
Wow.
I have more.
Yeah, let's hear a few
All right,
more.
the other one is in person is about the spotlight treatment. I think it was called Spotlight or something like that.
Okay.
And basically, you picture you and I are talking, and there's a spotlight hanging over our heads. And every time each person talks, the spotlight goes on that person.
Okay.
And so your goal is to make sure the spotlight is going on the other person as much as possible.
Okay.
So you're basically trying to get the other person to talk as much as possible about
Yep.
themselves, because at the end of the day, that's what people care about. They
Right.
love talking about themselves.
Right.
I think my other tip is maybe just to say the person's name a lot back, which
I
struggle with.
always do that.
Yeah, it's good.
Oh
if
my
you can
God,
do
I
it.
do that in my TikTok videos for years, and I get so many comments that are if someone said my name that many times, I would literally lose my I'm it's a sales tactic.
It's so hard though, because you meet so many people. I'm damn, what was that guy's name?
I know. It's actually really funny. I'm so good at it on a cold call because I'm so focused on obviously who I'm calling and obviously
Sure.
doing a little bit of research on that person. You have to know. But when I meet people in person and I'm hey, I'm Sarah. They're hey, I'm Vin. Next 30 seconds, I'm the fuck was his name?
What was his name? Right, yeah. And then sometimes you don't want to mispronounce someone's name after you've already heard it. You're
Yep.
but it is powerful.
Yep.
Any in-person networking tips that come to mind for you?
Yeah, I think it's just try to build your confidence as much as possible, because I think that's where I've probably lost out on some connections that I could have made at events. But I also like your tip of, I think I definitely have put too much pressure on myself to go to an event and get something out of it. I actually love Vin's tip of don't put pressure of yourself to get something out of it, because then you're probably going to have more natural conversations and you're going to be more likely to just create relationships more naturally instead of forcing yourself as a robot to go up to someone and sound really scripted. And I think that has probably hurt me for a really, really, really long time up until most recently. But I think that just has to do with like your confidence and having confidence in yourself, because like you are important, you're there for a reason, you know, you're at this event with other people for a reason. Go and make the most of it for yourself.
I think the spontaneous interactions are like where the best connections are. So like anytime I go to like a tech or like founder focused networking event, I personally always have a bad time because I think the other people that are there, they're too narrow minded on who they're trying to meet, which I can respect to one capacity. But literally I went to this event put on by this person that puts a lot of events on by New Yorker, you may know. And multiple people came up to me and their first question was, "Are you an investor?" And I said no, because I didn't know what the instructions were confusing for what you put on your name tag.
Okay.
So I thought you were supposed to put what your business does.
Okay.
So I wrote influencer marketing. So they saw the I guess IN, and they thought, a lot of people I guess was just reading it quick and just thought I wrote investor because it was like an investor conference.
Yeah, but did it not say clearly?
It did, but I don't know. Multiple people came up to me and said, "Are you an investor?"
Or maybe you look like one, man.
Maybe I look like an investor.
Yeah,
Maybe I look like I have a lot
give yourself
of money.
some credit. Yeah.
I look like I have a lot of money. But multiple people did that to me, and I said no, and they literally turned around and walked away. And so I'm like, that is like the worst way to you don't need to go like that hard on like your goal. Sure, you should have a goal of like, hey, I want to meet X, Y, and Z person, but you should just like relieve some of that pressure a little bit. Just go into with the goal of being like, I just want to talk to as many people as possible, even if they're not in my core industry. You actually never know what that might lead to.
Yep. Completely agree.
Yeah. So I'm curious, do you have any stories about networking that you've done in person that paid off maybe later on down the line?
Yeah, for sure. I think for me, it was when I went to Inbound in like September, October last year. I ended up going out with Sell Better. So it was really great that they invited me out, because that was like the first week I had left Pareto, and I was just like, oh my God, what am I doing? So it was like a really great way to go to an event where I knew so many creators, but also just businesses were going to be there, and I could put myself out there because I had built the brand of Sarah from Pareto, but then I had just put out on LinkedIn that I had left. So it was kind of like a good little buzz going into that event. But the very first day, in the first 10 minutes, I met Jen Allen Knuth, who was someone that I had looked up to on LinkedIn for many years, and I didn't know what to expect really from her because I obviously had never met her in person before, but I really loved her content. And within minutes, she just like put her arm around me as like a little bit of like a mama bear and was like, "Don't worry, you look panicked, like I got you." And I absolutely loved that, and I feel like I met so many people because of her at that event. I hated being like that puppy dog, and I even said to her so many times, like, I hope I don't feel like I'm like latching onto you, even though I completely was. But she also like just carries herself with so much confidence and grace, in my opinion. And I felt like being able to see that for 2 days, I was like, you know what, like that's something that I really need to do for myself.
On that topic, I also think the follow-up and the prep before is also just as important. So when you're meeting these people, I always try to remember 1 or 2 things that the person said that was unique to the conversation.
Yeah, that's a great
And whether
tip.
you write that down, I don't normally write it down, but if you have time, write it down, write the person that you met with.
I put it in my notes app on my phone. That way I could just like quickly whip it out like before I see them.
That's smart. And I never send the connection request or an email or anything like during the actual conference because I know like people are not checking. The week after though, I'll send all my connection requests and just highlight one thing that happened in the conversation. It could be like as small as like, hey, I enjoyed learning about your role at this company or whatever it is. If you have something specific, obviously include it. Like, oh, I enjoyed learning about how you're getting into running now or something, right? That's always a powerful follow-up strategy. And then I feel like Zoe put everyone onto this, but like saving the screenshot.
Oh my God, that was the best tip that she gave me in Cannes.
Yeah, saving the QR code as your home screen to your LinkedIn profile is clutch. So shout out to Zoe for that because that is amazing.
We literally just had our wallpaper lock screen as the QR code to our LinkedIn profile. So instead of a business card, you could literally just whip it out. Anyone could scan it. Great tip, Zoe.
Yeah, and speaking of LinkedIn, this is going to be the segue here. This is a great time to tell you about our sponsor for the episode, LinkedIn, and how we're using it to completely change our careers. Although important, typically networking has been limited to people you can meet with in person or the rooms you're able to get invited to. But LinkedIn solved that for me. Their networking tools help me connect with professionals I never thought I had access to. And here's something wild. On LinkedIn, when you reach 90 connections, you're 9 times more likely to get profile views. Those views can turn into opportunities that you may have never saw coming. The People You May Know feature helps you find people from the same school, company, or industry. This is actually a true story. So it reconnected me with someone from my school named Giorgio. He was a friend of mine in college, and he was trying to break into tech. And we had like, I think we connected over dinner. He like lives nearby me actually, so we got dinner together, and I referred him to Demandbase, and he got the job.
There you go.
And so he broke into tech from literally reaching out to me over LinkedIn. So
There you go.
that is a true story. So stop making networking harder than it needs to be. Grow your career with LinkedIn's tools that help you effortlessly build a meaningful network. Check out the links in the show note to grow your network today. Let's get back to the pod. All right. So we covered networking in person, but also like networking online is just as important now in 2025. And with LinkedIn, it's honestly the easiest way to network online personally. I think that's the best way to reach professionals compared to other platforms. So Sarah, if you were a new grad, how would you use LinkedIn to actually get in front of the right people?
Yeah, well, this is exactly what I did when I was a recent grad, which was just reach out to every single alumni of Fairfield University that I could. However, I definitely focused in on industries that I thought I would be excited about. And obviously, I didn't end up at a company that a STAG alumni was, but it definitely helped prepare me for the interviews that I went with for Pareto, because as a recent grad, I would say get as many interviews as you can and use it as practice to like nail the one that you really, really want. But also, like, you might actually get a few bonus offers while you're doing those practices too. So like, interviews don't hurt, like take as many as you can, but also kind of like your story with Demandbase and how you helped your friend get a job at Demandbase. I have just helped a few women's soccer players from Fairfield get jobs at Pareto. So reach out to your network, especially your alumni network specifically, because it's all about who you know. Like, it truly, truly, truly is. And in a really saturated market where it's really hard to stand out, if you can make some sort of personal connection with someone that's going to help you in the right direction, that's who you should be reaching out to.
When I was looking for a job, I literally treated LinkedIn like my 9-to-5 job. I'm not even joking. So I graduated in May of 2018. I did not have a job lined up. So I had all this free time, and I spent literally a 9-to-5 on my computer on LinkedIn, I swear, connecting with people from the industry I was looking to get into, which was tech at the time. People from salespeople, thought leaders. I was using the people you may know feature to try to find like alumni who I can get connected with. Okay, if you made it this far in the podcast, just want to thank you for watching. When we were filming, we actually had a heat stroke in New York and my camera overheated. We didn't realize that we didn't film the outro of this episode. So I just wanted to thank LinkedIn for sponsoring a good portion of that episode. I'm super passionate about LinkedIn, from using it to actually land my first role within tech in 2018, fresh out of college, to using it now to build my business. Using LinkedIn is one of the best ways to get in the right room with the right people. There's obviously benefit from networking in person, but think about how limiting it can be to network in person, because you're only really surrounded by people within your area. And depending on where you actually live, if you're in a smaller city or a smaller town, or maybe you're in an area where the desired industry you want to get into is not that common, you're going to be very limited in which the people you can actually connect with. Whereas with LinkedIn, it really opens you up to the entire world, no matter where they're located, how old they are, where they went to school, where they're from. You can easily find people to either learn from or get connected with. And for me personally, I've made some of my best business connections. I've met clients. I've met some of my best friends on the platform on LinkedIn. So I highly encourage you to get on the platform, start networking, because it also helps improve some of your in-person networking by doing some research beforehand, viewing their profile, getting some quick facts about the person you're going to meet with, which helps build deeper and more meaningful connections. So thank you, LinkedIn, and stay tuned for the next episode.